I still remember the story Tony Robbins told about the day he stood in his tiny apartment with no money, no hope, and a hungry stomach. That day, he had exactly $26 left in his wallet. He planned to keep it for the week, but then he saw a boy about 8 years old taking his mother out for lunch. Seeing the happy look in the boy's eyes, Tony instinctively walked over, paid for the meal for the mother and son, spending the remaining $26. Sounds crazy, right? But at that moment, when he turned to walk out with empty pockets, Tony felt richer than ever because he realized one thing. He could always give, and if he dared to give, he could also receive. A few days later, the first opportunity came, and from there, everything began to change. What Tony is trying to say here is, each of us has a moment when we choose not to continue living the way we have been. It can come from a painful event or from a courageous choice, like when Tony spent his last money to bring joy to others. If you're listening to this story today and feel stuck, stuck in your career, failing in your health, feeling mentally exhausted, ask yourself, have I really made the decision to change, or am I just waiting? Tony Robbins once said, "It's in the moment of decision that your destiny is shaped." Decision isn't about saying I'm going to try, it's about saying I'm going to do it. Now without holding back. Here's how to get started. Write down the one thing you can't stand to do today. Write down a specific action you'll take today, no matter how small. Then, do it before your mind finds excuses to procrastinate. This could be the moment you remember forever, because one day when you look back, you will smile and say, everything has changed since that day. Have you ever wondered why some people with the same starting point reach great success while others are still struggling? Tony Robbins says, the difference lies not in the circumstances, but in the beliefs. Imagine beliefs as a pair of glasses. If our glasses are tinted gray, we will see the whole world as gloomy. But if the glasses are clear or have an optimistic color, everything we see will be different. Tony once met a young man who always dreamed of becoming an entrepreneur. But in his mind, there was a saying from childhood, you will never amount to anything. Every time he wanted to start, that negative belief repeated itself, like an invisible chain pulling him down. Only when Tony helped him replace the old saying with a new belief, I was born to create value, did he start taking action and soon after built his own company. Beliefs are like instructions to the brain. If we believe we are not good enough, the brain will look for evidence to prove that we are right. But if we believe I can learn anything, the brain will automatically find a way, find an opportunity. So Tony Robbins has a simple but powerful exercise. Identification. Write down 3 beliefs that are limiting you. For example, I don't have time. I'm not smart enough. I'm not lucky. Challenge. Ask yourself the opposite. Is this an absolute truth? Has anyone ever succeeded in a worse situation than me? Replace. Create 3 new beliefs that empower you. For example, I prioritize my time for what's important. I learn quickly when I'm really focused. I create my own opportunities. Remember, beliefs are not objective truths. They are just stories we choose to believe. And when we change our story, we change our lives. Tony said something that made many people think for a long time. If you want to change your life, first change what you believe is possible. Maybe right now, we are living within the limits of an old belief, but with just one new choice, we will open a door. And behind it, there is an extraordinary person that we have never met. There is a truth that most people forget. We do not live by reality, but by our emotions about that reality. The same event one person sees as an opportunity, another sees as a tragedy. It all depends on the emotion we choose. Tony Robbins said that he once witnessed a presentation by a man who had just lost everything in business. But instead of complaining, he stood up, smiled, and said, I just bought the most expensive ticket to learn the most valuable lesson of my life. The whole room burst into laughter, but everyone in their hearts admired him because he chose to see failure as a stepping stone. Tony emphasized, emotions are energy. They determine how we act. When emotions are positive, we are strong, creative, and willing to try. When emotions are negative, we shrink, doubt ourselves, and miss opportunities. Luckily, emotions do not fall from the sky. We can control them. Tony teaches a very simple method called changing the state immediately. Change the body. Stand up straight, take a deep breath, smile. The body directly affects the emotions. Change the focus. Don't keep looking at the problem. Ask, what good can I get out of this? Change the language. Replace I'm exhausted with I need to recharge. It sounds different. Remember, every morning when we wake up, we can choose the emotions we want to carry with us all day. And when we master our emotions, we will master our lives. Tony often says, emotions are not something to be sought. They are something to be created. Today, if everyone is sad or worried, try standing up, taking a deep breath, smiling and saying to yourself, I am ready. It may be just a small gesture, but it is the first step to awakening the extraordinary person within. There is a secret that many successful people know well. Our lives are shaped not by circumstances, but by the decisions we make every day. Tony Robbins once said, it is in moments of decision that your destiny is shaped. Think about it. Everyone sitting here today is the result of thousands of small decisions they have made in the past. The decision to choose a school, the decision to choose a career, the choice of a spouse, even the decision to dare to try. Some people hesitate their whole lives just because they are afraid of making mistakes. But the truth is, not deciding is also a decision, and often the worst decision, because it allows fate to drift without you taking the initiative. Tony tells a story about a friend who was once faced with two choices. One was to keep his safe job with a steady salary. The other was to quit his job to pursue a new business idea. He decided to take the risky path. He didn't know what the future would bring, but he knew he would regret it for the rest of his life if he didn't try. Today, his business has become a big brand, and what makes him happiest is not the money, but the feeling that he has chosen and dared to live with that choice. Tony emphasized, a strong decision requires three elements: clarity, knowing exactly what you want; commitment, not letting difficulties shake your intention; act now. Don't let fear take the place of determination. Sometimes life is like standing at a crossroads in a thick fog. We will never see the end of the path we choose, but only when we take a step, the fog will gradually clear. Today, if you have something in your heart that you want to do, a change you want to start, decide now. Because every minute of hesitation, your dream moves a little further away. Have you ever noticed, in the same situation, some people see opportunities while others see obstacles? The difference is not in the situation, but in the belief. Tony Robbins said, belief can make or break a person's strength. Belief is like a pair of glasses that we wear. If the glasses are cloudy, everything looks gloomy. If the glasses are clear, the picture of life is completely different. Tony tells the story of a young athlete. During an important competition, an injury made him think he had to give up his dream. The doctor said, you will never run the same way again. But instead of believing that, he chose to believe that he could recover and become even stronger. Every day he trained with an almost crazy determination. A year later, he returned to the track and won a medal. See? The right belief can make the impossible possible, but limiting beliefs, on the other hand, will keep us trapped in fear and failure. There are 3 steps to changing beliefs, Tony suggests. Recognize the old belief. Ask yourself, is this really true, or is it just my fear? Find new evidence. Read stories. Meet people who have done what you want. Act to reinforce the new belief. Each small step of success will make the new belief stronger. Beliefs are not something we are born with. They are something we choose every day. So why not choose to believe in things that help you move forward? Because when beliefs change, everything in life changes with them. You know, the quality of our lives depends a lot on the quality of the questions we ask ourselves every day. Tony Robbins said, the questions you ask yourself determine what you focus on, and that determines your emotions, your actions, and your results. Think about it. If every morning you wake up and ask yourself, why am I so unlucky? Your mind will only search for negative answers all day. But if you change the question to, what can I do today to get closer to my goal? Your mind will naturally find solutions. Your heart will be motivated. Tony told a story about a friend of his, a businessman who went bankrupt. When he lost all his money, he didn't ask, "Why did I fail?" but asked, "What is the lesson I need to learn here so that next time I can be 10 times more successful?" That question led him to a new business idea, and a few years later, he became a millionaire. So everyone needs to remember the three principles of asking questions. Ask for solutions, not blame. Ask about what you want, not what you fear. Ask every day to keep your mind guided in a positive direction. The brain is like a Google search engine. The question is the keyword. Whatever keyword you type, life will return that result. Make sure the keyword you choose is something that helps you grow. We often think that to be happy, to act, we have to wait for everything outside to change. But the truth is, emotions are something we can actively create immediately. Tony Robbins said, "Emotional state determines the quality of action, and the quality of action determines the quality of life." Just think, the same situation, if you are happy and confident, you will handle it completely differently than when you are tired and depressed. So controlling your emotional state is the key to mastering your life. Tony pointed out two factors that determine emotional state: body, posture, breathing, facial expression. Just stand up straight, take a deep breath, smile. The body immediately sends positive signals to the brain. Concentration. What am I thinking about? That determines my emotions right now. He once helped a severely depressed person change in just a few minutes, just by asking him to change the way he stood, breathed, and focused on the three things he was most grateful for in his life. The result was, in just a few minutes, he went from being gloomy to laughing out loud. You see, emotions are not something that just comes, but something you can create. Want to be excited? Put on your favorite music and do some dance moves. Want to calm down? Sit down, take a deep breath, and think about the good things you have. From today, don't wait for good emotions to act. Create good emotions to start acting. When you proactively control your emotional state, you will see all the doors of opportunity open right before your eyes. We often think that to be happy, to act, we have to wait for everything outside to change. But the truth is, emotions are something we can actively create immediately. Tony Robbins said, "Emotional state determines the quality of action, and the quality of action determines the quality of life." Just think, the same situation, if you are happy and confident, you will handle it completely differently than when you are tired and depressed. So controlling your emotional state is the key to mastering your life. Tony pointed out two factors that determine emotional state: body, posture, breathing, facial expression. Just stand up straight, take a deep breath, smile. The body immediately sends positive signals to the brain. Concentration. What am I thinking about? That determines my emotions right now. He once helped a severely depressed person change in just a few minutes, just by asking him to change the way he stood, breathed, and focused on the three things he was most grateful for in his life. The result was, in just a few minutes, he went from being gloomy to laughing out loud. You see, emotions are not something that just comes, but something you can create. Want to be excited? Put on your favorite music and do some dance moves. Want to calm down? Sit down, take a deep breath, and think about the good things you have. From today, don't wait for good emotions to act. Create good emotions to start acting. When you proactively control your emotional state, you will see all the doors of opportunity open right before your eyes. Folks, most of the things we want to achieve, from skills, careers to attitudes, have been done by someone else before. Tony Robbins calls the learning method of successful people modeling. Learn correctly, learn deeply, then apply. Think simply. If you want to run fast, you learn techniques from the fastest athletes. If you want to start a business, you find a mentor who has started a successful business. Copying their habits, decisions, and thinking models helps you shorten the path to achieving results. Tony tells many stories about people who started low, but stood next to better people, learned and imitated their attitudes and actions, and then achieved outstanding results. The key is not to copy exactly, but to analyze the fundamental factors that lead to success: how they think, what they prioritize, how they handle failure, and then turn those factors into practical actions that work for you. 3 simple steps to start modeling. Pick a clear shape, someone whose outcome you want. Be as specific as possible. Analyze the footprint. Study their habits, processes, and subsequent decisions. Read books, watch interviews. Ask them directly if possible. Apply and adapt. Test the action in your context. Measure the results, then adjust. Note, there is no perfect model. We learn from the strengths, avoid the weaknesses, and create a version that fits our values and resources. When we continually learn from those who have gone before us and act on that footprint, the path to success should be shorter and less thorny. Folks, Tony Robbins always reminds us that true success is not measured by money or fame. It is the level of value you create for others and the mark you leave. Living an extraordinary life means you do not only pursue your personal goals, but also find ways to help and support others along the way. You cultivate your capacity to contribute. You use your strengths to solve problems for the community. You leave a legacy. It can be knowledge, products, or positive impact on some people. Tony tells many stories of people who changed their lives when they shifted their goal from wanting to succeed for themselves to wanting to serve others. When the goal shifts to serving, the motivation is stronger, more visible, and the results are often greater than expected. To start delivering value today, here are some practical steps. Identify your strengths. What are you good at? What makes people come to you? Find a need. Who needs what you can offer? A small group can be a good place to start. Start small, share your knowledge, help someone, or do a small community project. Scale incrementally based on feedback. Listen, improve, replicate the model. When you live this way, your life becomes more meaningful, your relationships deepen, and your imprint lasts. Tony ends many presentations with a quick reminder. Money can buy comfort, but value and meaning are what make people wake up with joy every morning.